Most people think the hardest part of money is earning it. But that's not really true, is it? The hardest part, the part we rarely talk about, is spending it well.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Ben, and that thoughtful voice you just heard is Alex. And Alex, you're so right. Earning it feels straightforward. You get a job, you work hard, the paycheck comes. But spending it, that's a minefield of second guessing.
It's a minefield of emotion. And that's precisely what we're diving into today. We aren't going to talk about budgets, spreadsheets, or optimizing your savings rate. We're going to talk about the psychology of money, why spending is so emotional, so often irrational, and why the way you spend might actually matter more than how much you make.
Yeah, this is the stuff that actually keeps you up at night. Not whether you should put 5% or 6% into your retirement account, but that big purchase you just made and whether it was a huge mistake.
Exactly. Our conversation today is heavily inspired by the writer Morgan Housel, who has explored this topic beautifully. He reminds us that money is not just a math problem. At its core, it's a behavior problem, and that's where things get complicated.
It really is. And to kick things off, let's tackle that first big idea. Why is spending so much harder than earning?
There's a strange truth at the heart of it. Most of us, through school and work, are taught how to earn. But almost no one teaches us how to enjoy spending the money we make. There's no class for that.
Totally. Earning feels productive. You put in the hours, you get a reward. Saving feels responsible. You're being a good adult, planning for the future. But spending? Man, that's where the guilt and the fear and the regret hang out.
And why is that? I believe it's because spending forces you to confront who you really are. It makes you face your values head on. It exposes your insecurities. And, most dangerously, it holds up a mirror to your comparison with others.
Ugh, the comparison game is brutal. I remember when my wife and I were buying our first car together. We had a budget, we knew what we needed, but then we started seeing what our friends were driving. Suddenly, our practical, affordable choice felt lacking. It felt like we were falling behind, even though the car we picked was perfect for us.
That's a perfect example. The spreadsheet says one thing: this car fits the budget. But the heart, influenced by social pressure, says another. As Housel says, money decisions are not spreadsheet decisions. They're emotional decisions. You weren't just buying a car, Ben. You were making a statement about your identity and your place in the world. And it's not just about friends. It's the ads we see, the influencers on social media. We're constantly shown a curated version of other people's lives, and their spending is a huge part of that. It creates a social baseline of what's normal, and that baseline is always creeping higher. You feel like you need the latest phone, the trendy clothes, the vacation to that exotic location, not because you genuinely want it, but because it feels like the cost of admission to the modern world.
Right. And you feel that with smaller things too, like going out to a fancy dinner. Is it about enjoying the food, or is it about posting the picture on Instagram? The insecurity part is huge too. Sometimes we spend to cover up a feeling of not being good enough. The expensive suit for the job interview, the designer bag. We think these things will buy us confidence.
And they might, for a fleeting moment. But that confidence is external, rented. It's not owned. This is why spending is so difficult. It's never just about the item or the experience. It's about the complex web of emotions and beliefs tied to it. Which leads us to our next point. Every dollar you spend tells a story.
I love this idea. If someone had access to my credit card statement, they could probably write a pretty accurate biography of me. They'd see lots of takeout coffee, money spent on books, a subscription to a good streaming service, and plane tickets whenever I can afford them. It paints a picture.
It does. It tells a story not about how rich you are, but about what you truly care about. Your statement says you value convenience, knowledge, and experiences. Someone else might spend on high-end gym memberships and organic food because they value health. Another person might pour money into their home because they value comfort and security.
And none of those are wrong. That's the key, right?
Precisely. The only mistake, and it's a profound one, is copying other people's spending goals. It's when you, the travel lover, start feeling like you should be spending more on a fancy car because that's what your neighbor does. That's the beginning of a deep dissatisfaction.
It's financial peer pressure. I have a friend who got into collecting expensive watches. He spent thousands, and honestly, I don't think he even likes watches that much. But he fell in with a crowd where that was the ultimate status symbol. He admitted to me once that he gets more anxiety from owning them, worrying about scratches, theft, than he gets actual enjoyment.
Your friend is spending someone else's definition of a good life, and that is the fastest path to misery. If your spending doesn't align with your genuine intrinsic values, money will never, ever feel like enough. It doesn't matter if you have $1,000 or $1 million.
That's a powerful thought. It's not about the amount, it's about the alignment. And this actually tees up the next big trap we all fall into.
Yes, the great lie we tell ourselves. Once I have more money, I'll finally be able to relax. I'll finally feel free. We've all said it. We've all felt it.
Oh, 100%. I remember getting my first real salary increase after working for a few years. I thought, this is it. I'm going to save so much, pay off my debt, I'll have all this extra cash. And for about a month, I did.
Only for a month? What happened?
Lifestyle creep, man. The silent killer of financial freedom. First it was, well, I can afford a slightly nicer apartment now. Then it was, my car is getting old. A new lease isn't that much more. Then we started eating out a couple more times a week. Within 6 months, that entire raise was absorbed. I was making more, but I felt just as broke.
Your story is universal. More income rarely fixes a spending problem because, as you said, lifestyle expands to meet it. The problem is that our happiness doesn't expand at the same rate. You get a quick hit of joy from the new apartment or the new car, but it fades. The payments, however, do not.
Exactly. The new income just becomes new obligations. A bigger house you have to clean and furnish. A nicer car you're afraid to scratch. And don't even get me started on the subscriptions you forget you even have, just bleeding you dry every month.
It's what they call the hedonic treadmill. You have to keep running faster and faster just to stay in the same place, happiness-wise. That's why the real financial skill isn't just about learning to earn more. It's about learning to define when enough is enough for you.
That is a tough skill to learn. It requires so much self-awareness. But it's the only way off that treadmill. You have to consciously decide to get off.
And a huge part of learning that skill is understanding a critical distinction, the difference between spending for happiness and spending for status. They can look similar on the surface, but they are worlds apart.
Okay, let's break that down. I have a feeling my friend with the watches falls into one of these categories.
He does. Here's the core difference. Status spending is about being seen by other people. Happiness spending is about a feeling that is felt only by you.
Wow, that's clear. So the luxury car with the big logo on the front is about being seen. But paying for a monthly house cleaning service so you can get your weekends back, that's a feeling. No one else sees it, but you feel it every single Saturday you wake up without chores.
Exactly. And here's why that matters. The thrill of being seen, the status purchase, fades incredibly quickly. You get used to the fancy car, and worse, there's always a nicer car to buy next. It's a never-ending game. But happiness spending, that compounds. The joy of having your time back, week after week, that builds on itself.
Let's list some more examples of happiness spending. Buying back your time is a huge one. Paying for a grocery delivery, hiring someone to mow the lawn. Another is reducing daily stress. For me, that was buying really good noise-canceling headphones for my commute. It made a miserable part of my day peaceful. A small cost for a huge daily return in sanity.
Other examples are creating flexibility in your life or investing in experiences you genuinely love, not just the ones that look good online. It's paying for the pottery class you've always wanted to take, even if you're terrible at it.
Right. It's amazing how the best purchases, the ones that deliver the most happiness, often look boring to other people. No one is impressed that you have an amazing mattress that lets you sleep well every night. But that purchase probably brings you more genuine well-being than a sports car ever could.
Boring to others, but priceless to you. That is the hallmark of effective, happiness-oriented spending. And if we follow that idea to its logical conclusion, we arrive at the real goal of money. If you strip everything away, the marketing, the social pressure, the ego, what is money actually for? Its fundamental purpose is not to buy things to impress people you don't even like.
So, what is it for?
It's meant to give you options. The real goal of money is to gain control over your own time, to have peace of mind, to build a life where you have the ability to say no to things that drain you and yes to things that fulfill you.
This is the whole idea of FU money, right? It's not about having enough to never work again necessarily. For most people, it's having enough saved that you could walk away from a toxic job without panicking. It's the freedom to take a 6-month sabbatical to try a new career path. It's not about luxury, it's about autonomy.
That's the perfect word for it, autonomy. The highest form of wealth isn't a yacht or a mansion, it's optionality. It's waking up in the morning and knowing you have choices about how you spend your day, your year, your life.
And you get there by making all those small, conscious spending decisions we've been talking about. Choosing happiness over status. Choosing alignment over comparison. Each time you do that, you're buying a little piece of your own freedom back.
When you begin to spend intentionally in this way, something magical happens. Money stops being this source of stress and guilt and fear. It transforms from a master into a servant. It becomes a useful tool to build a life you actually want to live. So, as we wrap up, I think the real question for everyone listening to ask themselves is this. Are you spending your money to look successful, or are you spending it to feel free?
That question cuts right to the heart of it, and it's something you have to ask yourself over and over. Here's a practical challenge for everyone. Go look at your last 3 non-essential purchases, the last 3 things you bought that weren't bills or groceries, and for each one, honestly ask yourself, was this for status or was this for happiness? Was this to be seen or was it to be felt?
That's a fantastic exercise, because the art of spending isn't about deprivation or pinching pennies. It's about alignment. It's about closing the gap between your values and your actions.
When your money truly reflects who you are and what you care about, even a modest amount of it can feel like incredible wealth.
Thank you all for listening. If this conversation made you rethink even one spending habit, it did its job.
Until next time, spend wisely and live intentionally.